I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made. Franklin D. Roosevelt. In theory, this makes sense. If all your enemies are evil people, then you must be good. But that's just not how it works. There is a multitude of cases where both sides are just bad people. But when you're someone like HasanPiker and all your enemies come out as some evil type of degenerate eventually, it kind of helps you spare your blemishes.
Judge me by my enemies.
Now, I'm not the biggest fan of HasanPiker. I just find it really funny how people were hating on him for saying this and he just keeps getting vindicated. The thing that wanted me to make this video was a tweet that was made by Nux Taku today. If you read through it, it's pretty much, oh, look at all the bad things Hasan did, adding Elon Musk saying, hey, get this guy banned off the platform. But the last little part he put is the funniest thing. It reads, slanders other content creators, including myself, Tectone, EthanKlein, Asmongold, you, and more, calling us pedophiles, rapists, terrorists, Nazis, and mother killers. I think the term slander might be doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I'm going to individually go through all the people here, Nux Taku, Tectone, EthanKlein, Asmongold, Elon Musk, and Destiny, and explain why I don't think this is slander, and how every one of Hasan's biggest haters are all super evil people. I also could go over Vosh, but that's kind of a layup.
You can see this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
So for the first person, let's just go over the guy who made the tweet, Nux Taku.
There's lollies, which I have absolutely nothing against. I don't think anyone has anything against lollies, okay? Like Chibidoki or Megumin from Konosuba or Gura. Nothing has anything against lollies. It's lolly that's the gray zone.
Nux Taku has a very strange history with lolly. As you've just seen, he even calls lolly porn a gray zone. He defined it in a different video saying the gray area is whether it's lewd or not, but at the end of the day, it's still lolly porn. He even used to put censored or cropped lolly porn on his thumbnails. One of the thumbnails had Shadman art on it. I'm not going to go into full detail about how bad Shadman is because we'd be here for an hour, but he has drawn porn of real children before. You might be saying right now, oh, it's just a couple bad thumbnails, but that did build up a pattern on what he was doing. He also kept reaching out to Shadman on Twitter saying, hey, let's do an interview. Shadman declined it, and that's the only reason it didn't happen. People look back on it in retrospect asking him, why were you trying to platform someone drawing lolly porn? His response was he was just going to get him on an interview just to dog on him and trash on him the whole time. And out of all people, Lyrix asked him if he has a history of doing these troll collabs, because if he did, this story would be way more believable. I'm not going to get into why him asking it specifically is so funny, but he did have the nickname Lolly Lyrix. So Nux Taku gave him 2 interviews where he trolled both the people he was interviewing, and it turns out they were just not that at all. Lyrix called him out in his response, saying that he lied to his face and that he wasn't trolling them at all. He shouted out both the people he interviewed, and at that point it's just promotion. So he had no history of doing those troll type interviews and lied just to get the people off his back. He'd also like everyone to believe that him and Shadman had minimal communication, which I don't know if that's true because we'd have to see the DMs and neither of them have leaked their full DMs. But as a co-host of the Some Ordinary podcast, he did go on and explain a little bit of his DMs and they were kind of strange.
2020 with Shadman, because he sent me some wild shit. Like, you brought him up, I totally... Here, listen to this. I say to him that, yeah, I have a theory that hentai is a latent Japanese tactic after World War II to indoctrinate Western society. I send him that, like it's a copy pasta. Okay. And he says, and I kid you not, all right, hold on to your seats. I didn't know that was your theory. I heard of that before, similar stuff, like make you have less kids because you're attracted to anime girls. But have you ever considered Japan is a tiny island, overpopulated, the tsunamis, ocean tides, water closing in? They need to have less children at the moment because it's overcrowded. Maybe they did it for themselves and we just like it and took it. One of the most popular hentai girls isn't even Japanese, Lamau. However, why would hentai make you not want to have kids? I want to be a father. I'm 31, plenty of time. TikTok as the clock goes.
These don't seem like I've barely ever texted these guys DMs. This seems more like they've texted quite a bit and he's gotten comfortable over time. But what does all this mean? He thinks there's a gray area when it comes to lolly porn. He has put lolly porn on his thumbnails multiple times, and he was at least in contact with well-known lolly porn artist Shadman in 2020. So do I think Nux Taku is a predator after hearing all this? It's up in the air, but all I know is that he's disgusting and probably shouldn't be around kids.
Someone that I would keep away from, you know, my kids.
The next person on the list to go over is Tectone.
You play video games with your homie, you're playing Smash Bros. Playing League of Legends, and you and your best friend are just jerking each other off. Like, that sounds awesome.
Tectone used to be a Genshin Impact whale, and there was nothing really too crazy about him around this time, although he was always looking for drama to place himself in, which is something that hasn't changed with him. Everything kind of changed for him around 2024 when some startling allegations came out. Tectone and his wife Preem divorced in July, and he said he doesn't have any ill will towards her, and the only reason that they divorced was to preserve the friendship. That sounds a little unbelievable, but people always treat their relationships a little differently from each other, so there's no reason for anyone to doubt it at the time. But then Frame came out later and said that Tectone actually cheated on her. A whole drama then ensued with Tectone calling her a liar, and then Tectone's new girlfriend Pink also calling her a liar. Pink also came out with a lot of information against Frame that there's no way she should have known, and obviously was fed all the information by Tectone. But then months later, Pink came out and pretty much apologized and said that Tectone also cheated on her. But when Tectone and Pink were dating, Pink started a lawsuit with Frame based off allegations of Frame sharing revenge porn. All the information was pretty much witness testimony from Tectone, which didn't make too much sense. And it kind of just seemed like retaliation for the lawsuit Frame had against Tectone. Both parties had to sign NDAs after it, but it seemed like it went in Frame's favor. And I think that lawsuit kind of has to do with Tectone's next set of allegations. The girlfriend I mentioned earlier, Pink, that apologized to Feme and everything afterwards, came out with a sexual abuse story about Tectone. Apparently it was bad enough he got dropped by OTK, which is crazy because OTK seems extremely lenient because they had Mizkif for a lot of years. Tectone came out and said he didn't get dropped, he just didn't get renewed, but the reason for why he didn't get renewed is the same, so it doesn't really matter. In kind of the same breath, Pink also says she was weaponized to go against Frame by Tectone, and that any ongoing legal cases are not going to be pursued. So since Tectone has 2 sexual abuse allegations against him, what do you think the best thing to do is? You guessed it, right-wing grifter. And I don't like to use the term right-wing grifter all the time, but this one is extremely blatant. Frogan, one of Hasan's orbiters, said that all soldiers deserve to get PTSD, which is obviously a horrible thing to say.
I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
But Tectone made it all about himself, bringing his dad up in it, saying, oh, my dad's a veteran, this is so disrespectful, and how he's gonna quit Twitch and go strictly to YouTube. But bringing up his dad was like the single worst thing he could have done. If you think Tectone's sexual abuse allegations are disgusting, then you're gonna have a heart attack hearing what his dad did. His dad might be the most infamous sex pest in US military history. His father was so bad that they had televised Congress hearings about how they can stop this in the future. And they used his dad as like the face of sexual abuse. The Sexual Assault Training Oversight and Prevention Act was made strictly because of Tectone's father.
They got your ass on camera.
Niggas ain't got me on no fucking camera.
This is the clearest video I've ever seen. This is the most HD shit ever. This is 4K. How did they get you in 4K?
Tectone claimed he did not know about these allegations, but if you search his dad's name on Google, it's literally the second result. It says everything about what he did. There's still every possibility that Tectone didn't know, but it seems unlikely. And none of this excuses Frogan for what she said, by the way. But let's get to the more recent stuff about him. Like 2 weeks ago, he made a whole video saying he's gonna leave the internet because there's just so much evil people out there and he doesn't like internet culture anymore. When first of all, the horrible internet culture is literally just his side spreading a bunch of hate. And who do you think those evil people he was talking about are?
But I needed to get away for a while. I really did. In case you're wondering why, there are evil people on this earth that are currently making my life fucking miserable. Even more than you guys know. It is deeply personal shit that I'm having to deal with right now.
My guess is the 2 people that came out with sexual abuse claims about him. He even says that he goes to sleep scared every night that more people are going to make accusations against him.
I wake up every morning in the middle of the night just wondering, did they lie again? Did someone else lie? What false narrative is the public going to believe about me? And it's annoying as shit.
Now here's the thing about that. If I wasn't doing anything wrong, I wouldn't even think about that. Like, I personally don't even think about that because I don't do anything wrong. So I'm not saying the accusations against him are true, we'll see about those, but I am saying that he has to have done at least some things wrong for him to come to this conclusion. The other speculative reason why he's leaving is view botting. Twitch got rid of a lot of bots recently and Tectone's numbers got cut like a huge amount. So maybe he's gonna leave for a while and then come back, he's like, oh, I have lower viewership because I was gone for a while. It could be both of these claims, it could be neither of them, but I have a feeling it's at least one of them. And on top of all this, Tectone's kind of just a shitty person with how he acts. There's a lot more stuff I can go over for each individual person about why they're horrible people, but I don't think that's really needed. So now we're gonna get into Hasan's biggest rival here, EthanKlein.
And this poor little girl sees me, like, spreading my pubes like Moses. It's like an enlarged clitoris.
This is going to be the hardest one to go over because there is just so much stuff EthanKlein has done. One of the most recent revelations I've come to is that he'll do anything to get his way. This is what EthanKlein posted about the Charlie Kirk assassination. The post looks fine, nothing too crazy about it, just 2 small paragraphs. But those are actually only the 1st and 4th paragraphs. If I show the unedited version with all the paragraphs, you can see he just makes it all about himself. No matter how you feel about Charlie Kirk, when you see this and your first thought is, oh, I'm gonna make it about me, is kind of insane. People then started calling him out for making it all about himself, and he responded with this Instagram story. He said, no fucking shit, I made it about myself. I'm not waiting for someone to try and kill me, and fuck you, Taylor, someone should do it, Lorenz. Somebody did it, just like you asked. He then posted the Taylor Lorenz video and asked her if she was happy now. And this just proves that Ethan will do anything he can just to shit on people he doesn't like. Because Taylor Lorenz responded in a Twitter post and she said that's actually the opposite point of the video. The video is about how dangerous escalating political violence in America is and who the true drivers of that violence are. I have no clue if the video is good or not, and I really do not like Taylor Lorenz, but to so blatantly get the point of the video wrong has to be malicious. But the main point here was how he made a death all about himself. And I'm not kidding when I say he literally did the same thing less than 3 months ago. I'm gonna use part of Junk Drawer Gaming's EthanKlein video to explain what I'm talking about because he hits the nail on the head pretty good about these next two situations. And he's a chill dude who makes pretty good content, so you should go subscribe to him.
We can also look at the Save a Fox situation, which if you don't know, on June 20th, Michaela Raines, the founder of the Save a Fox Wildlife Initiative, tragically took her life. She was receiving a lot of criticism, which, coupled with her mental health issues, ultimately led to her making this decision. There was an online component to this criticism and harassment, but there was also a lot of real-life criticism that she received from other animal sanctuaries. In the online space, most of the harassment received was from Kiwi Farms, Tumblr, and a very inactive Snark subreddit, which only had 19 posts in total. This didn't stop EthanKlein. He was very quick to make this woman's suicide about himself, claiming that her Snark subreddit was the deciding factor in her death, and comparing it to his Snark subreddit, claiming that their end goal is to get him to kill himself. He's just ultimately weaponizing this woman's suicide to springboard a campaign to ban his Snark subreddit. I think Michaela's suicide had very little to do with the Snark subreddit. There's only 19 total posts on there, and more to do with the harassment that she has received from other sanctuaries in real life. But now we have to blame Reddit for someone's suicide and use this to get an entire community banned. It reminds me a bit of the Keffels Drop Kiwi Farm situation from 2022, where we're using the actions of a few people to launch a crusade to deplatform an entire community through legal or social pressure. There are some bad actors in these communities that do cause real-world harm, the Ethan CPS call and the Keffel swatting, for example, but the vast majority of users are simply there to just talk shit about people that they hate online. I think this is also very similar to how Ethan handled Etika's suicide in 2020. He directly blamed Keemstar for his death to try to tarnish Keem's reputation.
Keemstar's greatest moment comes when he asks Etika in a manic state, why doesn't he just jump off a cliff?
If you really think about it, then why live? Just jump off a cliff. Just jump off a cliff. If it's just a simulation, who cares?
Of course, hypothetical, but it is quite a coincidence when you consider that only 51 days later, that very same YouTuber jumped off a bridge to his death.
While almost everybody, even Etika's own mother, said that Keem wasn't responsible. She texted Keem and directly said, I wish to inform Etika's fans, friends, and viewers that Keemstar is not responsible for Etika's passing and should not be held accountable for my son's actions. This, however, didn't stop Ethan from dragging this baseless criticism out for years on the H3 and Frenemies podcasts.
If you guys don't know anything about Etika, you should look into that because that's one of the most tragic things that's happened on YouTube history. Keemstar, this guy was having a manic breakdown. Do you know about Etika?
We talked about it once, and I know we cut it.
He was like a really sweet gamer kid, growing YouTuber, and he was having like a bunch of manic episodes. He was clearly bipolar, and Keemstar would bring him on his show all the time and parade him around in the midst of a manic state. One time, actually, he tweeted out the location of his mental hospital, and then when he got out of the mental hospital, he brought him on his show in the midst of a mental breakdown. Why? He says, if you think that life is all a simulation, why don't you just jump off a bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, he wasn't. No, Keemstar wasn't saying go jump off a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But a few months after that, Etika jumped off a bridge and committed suicide.
From like 2016
yes,
or something?
Trisha, of course.
Trisha?
And then, but here's the most
I don't know what you're talking
sick
about.
fucking shit. Etika.
Oh, God.
A folder.
Yeah.
About Etika on his desktop.
Okay.
A YouTuber that he bullied, essentially, into unaliving himself. The crazy thing about him is he actually has a track record of literally attacking people when they're dying, or like pushing people when they're actually dying.
Because it's like a consistent pattern.
It is. I mean, it's been Etika, Basher, now Tony, Total Biscuit. That's 4 times
I think Ethan's unhinged and will dig up any corpse that he can find to get a win over his enemies. Back when this community actually had principles, we were very strongly morally opposed to this, so why should it be any different now?
I'm not even going to show pictures for this next part, but he had a Reddit account get exposed that he used to run called Pedo Troll. People were saying it's funny how this account got exposed within 24 hours of Destiny getting exposed for probably still having CSAM in his possession. Even though these two things are not comparable in the slightest, I do think it's pretty funny. But the account would literally just post pedo jokes on Reddit like a decade ago. So it's honestly nothing crazy, but if someone like Destiny had the same account come out, EthanKlein would be using this as evidence that he's a predator. And I kind of feel like I have to talk about the Hasan nuke. I'm not going to get into the gist of the video, I'm going to get into most of the stuff around it, because I do think he makes good points and then he makes bad points. The one thing that I will talk about in the video is that he called for sponsorships again. If you remember correctly, he did this in the Keemstar video way back when. It's honestly pretty disgusting to try to hit someone financially just for disagreeing with them, which he has done time and time again. The Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron lawsuit is honestly one of the most disgusting things I've seen a YouTuber do. Legally, it looks like he has a case, but that is not the reason why he's going through with this lawsuit. He disagrees with the points they make, so he's trying to hit them financially. Why do you think he begged and begged and begged for Hasan to react to it? People were saying it's like, oh, so his fans can see it and then they can really see how bad of a person Hasan is? Most of the points he made were things people already knew. So if they weren't convinced the first time they heard it, they're probably not going to be convinced the second time they hear it from someone they don't like. What EthanKlein was trying to get Hasan to do was to give a bad reaction with like no commentary, or for Hasan to say watch this instead of that video. Then the lawsuit would have been a whole big HasanPiker lawsuit. But since that didn't happen, he thought the best thing he can do is sue Hasan's friends. Because he knows at the end of the day, Hasan's still probably going to front the bill. I think he also might be suing Noah Samson, but I don't know too much about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. And the last thing I want to talk about is how he's the victim in every single situation he's in. I need to get this out of the way and mention that the CPS calls are horrible things, and sending the skull to the office are actually like disgustingly evil things that people did against him. He does weaponize them quite a bit though. Every time he gets criticism, him or one of his lackeys will be like, oh, but they sent skulls to his house, they called CPS on him, and it just voids the criticism. Like, it's awful those things happened to him, but they became like a get out of jail free card that he can use an infinite amount of times. He also does weaponize the fact that he's Jewish quite a bit. If you ever criticize how he supports Israel, he'll be like, oh, just call me Jewish. Is it because I'm Jewish? It's honestly pretty disgusting because you cannot have a political debate with him because then he's just Jewish and you're attacking a Jewish man. And you can't criticize him at all because they sent CPS to his house. I guess the main gist of this is that he'll do whatever it takes to come out on top. There's a lot more I can talk about that would make him look worse and worse and worse, but I don't want to talk about it all day. So I guess we're going to go ahead and move on to Asmongold.
It's better. Wow. Who the fuck drinks this shit?
Asmongold's a pretty easy one because he's pretty racist, super misogynistic, and pushes a lot of far-right narratives. I really don't got much else for him, but I'll go over the one clip that got him in a lot of trouble.
These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care.
So you see, it's pretty bad, and it's the same guy saying you should have empathy for Charlie Kirk that's also saying that he has zero empathy for any of the people in Palestine. But a lot of right-wingers and left-wingers are being hypocritical about this, so we'll just move past it. So now we gotta go over the allegations that he killed his mother. I think the allegations are that he made his mom live in such a disgusting pigsty and that's the reason she passed away. I don't think that's true, but it also probably did not help. I also don't like how him and Tectone did the same exact thing with their content. Get popular playing games and then out of nowhere just switch to right-wing content. I don't think this was their intention all along, but it did happen. And this is one of the easier ones because I don't have to go into a full explanation. He's just not a very good person. And the next one is even easier. If you scroll through Elon Musk's Twitter for about 2 seconds, you can see he's pretty openly a Nazi. He also did a very obvious Roman salute in which he claims it isn't, but it definitely is. And Elon Musk is openly pushing for him to get banned on Twitch, but he will not ban him on Twitter for some reason. I think he wants Hasan banned because Hasan got his daughter on a live stream. And that's 2 in a row because Elon Musk is also very obviously a bad person. I don't have to explain it that much. And then the last person to talk about, I think, is Destiny.
If creators want to reach out to me, or if anyone wants to reach out to me, I've got a mega link, to be fair, with all of it. I think there's about like 6 or 7 like gigabytes of footage in there. If anyone wants it, you know, feel free, hit me up.
We'll just go over the main thing Destiny's getting called out for right now. He shared sex tapes and nudes of women to other women without their consent. That alone is pretty bad. But one of the girls he got sex tapes from was 17, but he didn't know at the time, so the best thing he could have done was maybe alert the authorities and delete them. But apparently his lawyer told him to keep them, so he just has CSAM. A lot of people don't believe that because they don't think that lawyers just tell people to keep CSAM. We could have got an actual conclusion to this, but Willie Mack decided that his reputation mattered more than the case, so he actually reported on it way too early, and Destiny probably deleted all the incriminating information. He did admit to having it though, so don't forget that. But even if you skip the CSAM part, he's a sex pest who unconsensually shares girls' sex tapes. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's pretty bad. And doing all of this does classify as revenge porn, by the way. So let's just go over this from the top. We have a lolly lover, a man with multiple sexual abuse allegations against him, a man who will stomp on dead graves just to get a point across, a racist, a Nazi, and a man who shares revenge porn. So yeah, all of Hasan's enemies are awful people. And when he says judge me by my enemies, he gets a lot of leeway because his enemies are like the Sinister Six. Now, this doesn't make Hasan any better of a person. He still has pretty bad political takes sometimes and still uses bad tactics. But for a lot of people, he's vindicated because look how evil his enemies are. So let's go ahead and get back to the Nux Taku tweet. I wouldn't necessarily say Nux Taku is a predator, but it's not a crazy thing to say. It's not looking good for Tectone on the rapist front. Elon Musk is a Nazi. I wouldn't say EthanKlein is a terrorist, but his wife was in the IDF, so at one point she was a terrorist. And Asmongold is not a mother killer, but Hasan has never called him a mother killer. People around Hasan have called him a mother killer though, which you can blame Hasan for a little bit, but he can't control other people, so no, this is not slander from Hasan. And Destiny isn't even listed because he's too bad for these people to even want to deal with. And as I said in the beginning, I could mention Vosh, but that would just be beating a dead horse. And I could have mentioned the quartering, but like, come on, be so for real. And I think that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out the live show I do with Junk Drawer Gaming and Zachary Prince every Saturday on the Rehook channel. Join my Discord link in the description. And I'm gonna go ahead and catch you guys next time. And this video took way too long to make, so we'll see if I'll make another one like this.
Yo, I've been liking this Jimmy guy. I'm not gonna lie.
I like this Jimmy guy.
Tweets.
Dude,
Jimmy, what he says makes sense. He makes sense a lot.
This guy just gets it right.
Jimmy seems like a YN.